It's gonna get my allergy.
We didn't even think of a name for this. For, like, our channel.
Benadryl Dreams.
Okay. This episode's called Benadryl Dreams. I'm Ty.
I can't say Pepper because you're Pepper too.
No, I go by on my other page.
Okay. Well, I'm Pepper, Little Pepper.
And today we're going to be talking about some weird dreams that we've had in the past or have been having, because apparently we're both very vivid dreamers. Do you want to share yours first?
I see the Hat Man like every night. Have you ever heard that on TikTok?
No.
They're like, I take Benadryl to see the Hat Man at night.
That's so weird. I guess I'm not on that side. I'm not on the weirdo side.
No, mine last night. So, like, my For You page for the last, 2 weeks has been Pedro Pascal because of The Last of Us.
Yeah. Have you been watching it?
No,
oh, okay.
But I knew he was on Game of Thrones, so it's like, it's a mix between Game of Thrones and, The Last of Us. Like, it's all edits of him, and the more I see them, I'm like, okay, I can get behind that.
Yeah.
And, like, last night, I dreamed that, like, we had gone to a matinee with Mom and Papa, and, like, the theater was super weird. Anyway, beside the point. We ended up in a shop, and I had to get ready for my senior softball game. It was my last game of the season, and Pedro Pascal was my coach. And the whole time, I'm trying to get this man to fall in love with me. So I'm, like, being stupid, I'm making jokes, like, being cute, like, trying to get him to, like, fall for me or think that I was cute. So I'm running around, making comments, knock a bucket of balls over, I start picking it up, because...
Just being a little pick-me girl.
Yeah, literally. So somebody came up to me with color corrector, like the green color corrector. And I started using it because I was like, I need to put some makeup on. And before I knew it, they had put too much, so my whole face was green. So, I start making jokes. I'm like, oh my god, I'm Squidward. Like, I'm Squidward. And so I'm looking at him, and he's like cracking up. I'm like, it's working. Like, I'm getting him. So
Did you do the laugh too?
Well, no, because in my head, like, at some point, I know I woke up for a second, but you know that sound on SpongeBob where it's the... You know that sound?
You sent it to me, so yeah.
Okay. So, I heard it. Like, I don't know if there was a speaker in my dream or what, but I heard it. And so I was like, I like that noise. And so I look at the poor man and I'm like, womp.
That'll charm him.
My face is green. I'm like, womp. So he stands up and I'm just like sitting on the bench, like not even playing my senior game, and I was supposed to be the star. But he gets up and I'm like, womp.
You get out on the pitcher's mound and you're just green.
It's my eye black. So anyway, he stands up and he's looking at me, and I think that I'm winning him over, like he's falling for me. And he looks at me and he looks at the person next to me and he goes, I'm gonna go have a shot or two of tequila. And I was like, okay, bet. Like, I'm coming too. And he was like, no. So
He just wants to get away from you.
I sat there and I was like, maybe that, like, you know, he's opening up to me. Maybe I could be open with him too. And so I'm like, you know, I drink too.
Yeah, you're in high school. You got problems, man.
And all I can hear is, womp. It's still going on in my head.
Now picture this, okay? Pedro Pascal is sleeping in his bed after a long day of filming, and he has this weird dream about this girl wearing green makeup trying to win him over, and all I can think about is drinking.
I said earlier today, imagine we like cross streams and he's dreaming about some random girl that's in high school just womp.
Oh my gosh, you know that happens if he says it somewhere.
I know, that's what I said too. I was like, he's gonna be in an interview and someone's gonna ask him about a dream and he's gonna be like, yeah, like this girl was womping at me.
And you pull up your phone and you go, detail for detail what the dream was.
To the tequila, to the drop balls, to the color corrector, to me talking about my teammate.
To the specific sound for some reason you heard in your dream.
I just comment the audio of it.
How long has it been since you watched SpongeBob?
Oh man.
Or anything specific with that sound in it?
No.
It's just stored in your head from all the years of me and Lane
know.
watched it.
I literally, like, that's what's so random about it, is I had, like, there was nothing involved with SpongeBob other than I heard the sound and immediately I was Squidward because of the color corrector.
There was, like, not even any time taken to, like, put it on you.
No. Like, I remember saying it, I was like, oh, color corrector, like, I need to use this. And then I heard the womp. That was it. Like, it was the sound itself. And so I, like, spent the rest of the dream trying to recreate the sound of the wow.
Like, you're out there playing and you're pitching and you're, like, sweating and it's all running down your face.
I didn't even get to pitch. That's what pisses me off. Is because some girl, like, that I went to high school with walked up to me and she was like, hey, they want you to throw the last pitch. And I was like, hell yeah. And I'm watching all these other pitchers that went up and they sucked. Like, the girls that I played with were really, like, they were good. They were not bad, but, like, this whole time that I'm in the dugout, supposed to be the star player, like, they're walking the players, I'm watching these runners score. Meanwhile, I'm trying to make Pedro Pascal fall in love with me.
You had a busy night. I don't know how you're not exhausted today. Trying to win men and play softball.
It was the Benadryl. I met Pedro Pascal. I'm better than anybody.
He made an impression for sure.
But it's bad because I go on my phone today and it's all Pedro Pascal. And I'm like, either he knows.
No, or you've got an issue. You're like obsessed with this man now for some reason.
Know. I don't even watch him. Like, I don't even watch Last of Us. I don't even watch. He was in Mandalorian.
Does he play the Mandalorian? Oh, okay, I thought he looked familiar. I watched like half a season of the first.
The only thing I've watched this man on is Game of Thrones.
Oh god.
And he was only in for like a little bit of a season, I think.
Uh-huh.
I want to hear your George Clooney.
God, okay. Oh my god. Okay, so I wake up, in my dream I wake up, and I'm sleeping on a pile of clothes in my best friend's room, okay? And it's not actually like her room, we're like somewhere else. And I'm like, oh man, like why am I sleeping in this pile of clothes? And we get up and we had a gig at this festival. We were supposed to be playing at this festival. And we get up and we get ready and we get there and it's like, I don't remember a lot of what was happening, but we went and we hung out and it turned out that they didn't tell us that they'd canceled our gig, like what we were supposed to be doing. So we were just hanging out. Well, it starts getting later in the day and they put on like this SNL type skit, except it's in front of people. It's like a comedy sketch thing. And for some reason, I'm asked to be in it. And I was like, okay, like that's just fine, alright. So I get up there, and the whole gag is that this guy is in the doorway trying to keep people from getting out, and they're all like scrambling around. And all I did was I pushed him out of the way and walked past, and everyone in the room started laughing. Okay? They just thought it was so funny. I don't know. I'm not funny. But, afterwards, like, everybody was like, yeah, that was so funny, and we're, like, walking around. Well, I hear someone walk up to me, and, like, this figure goes like this and goes, I see why they think you're so funny now. And I look over, and it's George Clooney, and I'm like, get away from me.
I know George Clooney, but I've got to look up.
Oh, he's in, like, Gravity.
George Clooney.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he's that guy who, like, just lets himself out into space. Yeah.
That guy.
Yes. So he's all like, oh, I get why they think you're so funny. But I'm like, get away from me, you know? And, so he starts putting the moves on me and I keep pushing him away and he attacks me. Just in front of everybody, okay? I'm like calling for help. I can't get anybody to come help me. And finally I get away. And Jake comes up and he's like, what's wrong? And I was like, this guy just attacked me. I need help. And he's like, well, what do you mean? And so we pull up the, all this is like really fragmented, like I can't remember exact details, but we pull up the camera footage, and before he came to me, he went to another girl who blew him off too, and I don't know. We were all in these weird costumes, but The incident was a lot more intense than what it was when I was in my body, like from watching the footage. Like, it was really intense. And Jake goes, "It looks like you kissed him first." And I was like, "What?" And I like replayed it, and somebody next to me was like, "Well, if you have the chance to kiss George Clooney, why not take it?" And I was like, "No!" And I was like freaking out. And there was more that happened in that dream, but yeah, George Clooney attacked me.
George Clooney is the Benadryl hat man.
Yeah. Do you want to read any of your notes? Because that's all I got for that one.
They're not really, I mean, they're not as funny as Pedro Pascal trying to, which, Basie, if you ever see this, I only told him that he was my softball coach, so.
Telling on yourself, man.
I think he would think it's funny, because I never, like, from this point on, like, before, I did not, find anything about him attractive, or, like, I didn't even know it was him in Game of Thrones, but, like, I had an awakening last night. I did dream one time that I was on vacation with Basie, with, like, his family, and Mom was with us. We were, like, in Cancun or something, and I had braces at the time, and we had gone fishing, and I was in this building, like, it was gorgeous. We were in this, like, house. It was a house, but it was inside a waterfall, so we got to see out, but I could see out on the ocean, and I could see his dad fishing. I had braces, and for, like, somehow his fishing line, like, got caught up in the wind and came at me and caught my braces, and, like, he reeled it because he thought he had a fish.
Yeah.
It was me. And it ripped my braces off, and I think Luna was with me. Something happened and Luna was there. Yeah, I broke the bracket, and then we were going to Turks and Caicos, which I don't know if that's what that's called. And I ended up in the house, but it was the Turks and Caicos. And I went to open the extra bedroom door, and there were zombies. And it was like one of those arcade games you see where you have to, like, shoot them and stuff, like you're whatever. And then I ended up at a turf football field. But I remember waking up so worried about my braces that I couldn't go back to sleep. Which I didn't have braces at the time. I hadn't had braces for 3 years.
I'll never forget the time when we lived in KC, that I dreamed that you were a demon. And you were so small. You were probably like 6 at the time. I told Mom and Leighton. It scared Mom so bad. Oh my god, so I dreamed that we were in the car, and I don't remember all of it, but I dreamed we were in the car going to Abilene, and it was nighttime. And you flew out of the ceiling of the Suburban and like went through the glass or something like that, because I don't think the Equinox had a moonroof, but you went out and you landed on top of the car, and you were like trying to scratch to get back in, and your eyes were red. I told Mom about that, and she was so concerned.
I do remember that y'all saw a shadow over my crib.
Oh god, that's a whole different discussion.
Was that true?
I don't know. That was Leighton who saw that.
Am I being followed?
No, oh my god. Because I remember we would stay up until like the sun came up during the summer, like even on weekends. And I remember her going to the kitchen, and she came back and she was like, Taylor. And I was like, what's wrong? She was like, there's something in Boo's room. And I was like, what? And she was like, yeah, there's a shadow standing over her bed. And I was like, oh my god. And so we both went back there, like, scared. I didn't see anything, but this was around the time that you had bubbles, so I don't know. I don't know, man. You're just weird.
Context on bubbles, I had a guardian angel that I would watch, like, fly around. And
you were probably like 2 or 3. You couldn't even talk yet.
I actually remember watching the ceiling, though.
Really?
Like, I don't remember seeing him like I described, because it's horrible. I don't know why. But what I remember him looking like is a big, bald-headed dude flying around on a jetpack.
What?
That had purple flames. And he would, like, control it. And, like, I'm sure me being 3, like, I can't comprehend that. Like, I can't comprehend something like that. But that's what I remember it as. Like, he was, like, Elmer Fudd.
I wonder if, like, the seizures you were having had something to do with that. Like, what you were seeing.
Probably.
Because that's really specific for, like, a toddler. For you to remember as a toddler.
Because I always remembered it. Like, I always remembered watching something fly around, like, the ceiling of my room. And then Mom said I described him as being blonde with a blue robe.
But this was also the time that you pointed out that figurine. So, maybe that was your interpretation. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, it's fine, because it makes sense, but, like, it makes me wonder if, like, me remembering it that way was just me not being able to comprehend what it was.
Yeah.
But it's just weird, because, like, you know, he had yellow hair and the blue robe or whatever. Maybe I, like thought of that as Bubbles, because I love Bubbles and just the colors of it, but...
I had a dream... A couple years ago, I didn't write it down because it's so vivid in my head, but I dreamed that I was in this big city. It had to have been like Chicago or something, and I got out of a big baseball game, and everybody was walking down the streets to get out of it. And have you seen any of Red Letter Media stuff? Do you know who Rich Evans or Mike is? If I talk about them, okay. So they're these YouTubers that review movies, and we're like really into them. But I dreamed that we walked down into this open area. And there were these alien monsters. There was a giant one that was like... It was just one of them. And he was like dancing around. And every move he made, like there were these people who were like bracketed to the walls around the city. Like there was metal around their stomachs. And they were like doing the same dance moves. And Mike Stoklasa came up to me. And we were watching them like... days. Like, we would watch nothing else but Red Letter at this time, so and I had lots of dreams about them, but... So, Mike comes up and he's like, we have to get somewhere safe, like, I don't know where to go, and I was like, hey, my uncle's an officer, he works in this building right here, so let's go in there, okay? So we go inside and we find Rich Evans, and, he's in there, and we're like, we don't know what to do, and... We find this kid, and we're like, we have to take care of it. So we go up several stories, because the people in these, like, the people outside were starting to become, like, mind-controlled, I guess, by this thing. And so they start trying to climb the walls of this glass building. And we get up to the top, and we're like, okay, we have to go get, like, weapons and supplies and stuff like that. And we leave the kid in the corner, like, of this room. It's just, like, a big lobby. And we go up, and there's a Spencer's gift shop or something. And I was trying to pick out socks. I don't know. Well, then we get back down, and the bad guys are in this room. And I remember being shot. I died in this dream, okay? I've never died in a dream before. I think that's why it stands out so much, is because Mike and Rich were standing over me, and they were, like, freaking out. And then the next thing I know, I'm one of the bad guys, which in my dream, I guess it was like a demon. Oh, no, it wasn't, was it? No, I was this doll. I was a doll that was stuck to the wall. And I could, like, see through the building, or something like that. Or maybe I was the demon trying to find the doll. I don't know, man. That was a trip.
I dreamed about Jeepers Creepers. I nearly said Jeepers Peepers, because that's my...
Yeah.
Haven't watched that movie in years. But when I did watch it, like, it was freaky.
Yeah.
But I dreamed that I was in it was a building, and there were a bunch of people there. But they were working on this curtain for, like, a stage. I was watching them, and somebody came up to me, and they were like, we need to climb. Like, we cannot be on the floor right now. We need to hide. And I was like, what the hell are you talking about? So we start climbing up this curtain, and all of a sudden we see these people, like, falling. And, like, dying. Like, they had been killed, and they were falling down. And we're like, what is going on? Like, what is happening? So we get away. I still hadn't seen him at this point. Like, I knew something was after us, but I didn't know who. And we walk into this hallway, and we see this kid that had died, but it had been made to look like he had done it himself.
Yeah.
So I'm freaking out, because I'm like, but at this point, I don't know how I found out it was Jeepers Creepers.
Yeah.
But I'm freaking out. I'm like, I can't die. Like, I cannot die this way, because they were, like, it was gruesome. But we ended up in a car. I was in a car with a bunch of different people. I don't know who they were. I don't know where they came from or whatever. But we were in a car in the middle of the city, and we were watching all these people die, like, around us. We were driving around the city, getting away from it, and I think me me, mom, papa showed up. And I'm like, y'all, we gotta go. Like, this is not good. So, I don't remember where I was. I think I was in my dorm. I woke up so freaked out. It was dark. And in my dorm, there's the corner in front of my sink. And there's a part of the wall that comes out. I guess it's for, like, wiring or whatever. But at night, when it's dark in my room, it looks like a shadow. And so I remember waking up, being shook up from this dream that I had about Jeepers Peepers. And I, like, looked around the room to make sure I was where I was. And I see the shadow. And I whip my head around. I'm like, oh, he's coming for me. That was the worst dream I think I've ever had.
So, one of my most vivid dreams I have is that I was Harry Potter in the Goblet of Fire, and that's the Triwizard one where they have like the wizard games or whatever. So I'm Harry Potter, and I am in the part where they have to like fly around, the dragons after them, and they have to catch the egg. Except my goal was to collect Spyro gems. Do you know who Spyro is? He's like the little he's like the PlayStation dragon.
Oh yeah, the little purple one.
Yeah, so I'm like collecting these gems, and every time I pick one up, they turn into Reese's Pieces, and I'm like shoving them in my pocket. And I had enough of it, so I escaped and I flew away. And I go out, and outside the grounds, like still on the Hogwarts grounds, there's this shop. There's like this gift shop, and hi, and is in there, and he's like screaming at the worker, and I was so embarrassed that I left. And whenever I walked outside, Hermione and Ron are like standing outside this giant mound that has a hole in it, and they're like so scared. And I'm like, what's going on, guys? Like, what's wrong? And they're like, there's something inside there, you have to get it. And I'm like, what? And they're like, it's your next assignment or like challenge or whatever. And I was like, okay. And so I walk up to it, and you'll never guess who walks out. Percy. Leighton's dog. Leighton's beagle.
No.
My sister's beagle comes out, and he's wearing an eye patch, and he talks to me. And I woke up.
Oh my god. Did he have a peg leg too? Because his bad paw?
No! Oh, I wish. This is probably before that even happened.
That poor dog's been through so much. So I had prom. I think I might have told you this. I had prom, and for some reason Basie couldn't be there. And we were at this big arena gym. And we were, you know how some high schools do like the dress reveals or whatever, you walk out with your date and like all the parents and everybody's there. So we were doing that, literally. Hunger Games. So I was in my dress, and I panicked because I didn't even know we were doing this until I was like at the door to walk down the stairs. And you were there. And I turned around in the doorway and I said, I don't have anybody to walk with. Like, my date's not, like, Basie's not here. Like, I'm gonna be by myself. And you go, it's okay, just go.
Oh, I should have stepped up to the plate and been like, I'll go with you.
So I turned around, and I look in the audience, and some guy stands up, and it's his dad. It's Basie's dad. And, like, I saw him, and he goes, I'll walk you. And it literally, like, meant so much to me. Like,
that's a good dream.
It was so sweet. And he was like, I'll walk you, just grab my arm.
You make me scared.
I can't even say names of this because I went to high school with these people.
You can use initials or like just name them something else.
So
I can bleep it out.
Okay. So comes running up, and he's like, he just grabs me and literally kisses me, like just so passionately, and I'm like,
Basie, stop watching here.
No, he knows. So I'm sitting there, like, I'm, like, pushing him off, like, he has a girlfriend and everything, like, she's very known.
Yeah, okay.
I'm looking around, and, like, the crowd's going wild. Like, they're just like, oh my god. They're cheering, he's just, like, will not let me go, and I'm like, I'm with Basie, like, stop. Like, his dad's right there.
Yeah.
And I, like, try to get away from him because I was gonna walk with his dad, because he offered it was sweet, like, I wanted to walk with him. He has a hold of my dress and will not let me go. And so I'm like, okay, whatever. So I grab onto his arm, trying to walk down these stairs, because I'm in high heels, walking down this arena. And so somehow, as we're walking down the stairs, I guess, I don't know if he stepped on my dress. I don't know. It was weird. But we took a tumble, like, down a good 2 flights of stairs. Ended up on the floor of the gym, like, arena thing. And knew I had cracked my hip, like, broke it.
Oh my god, dude, this
was
just
done.
spiraled.
And I don't know where the hell went, but he left me. He was.
He
He's the
said,
reason,
no, this is a fiasco.
like, he was the one to make me fall. Like, he humiliated me in front of all these people. Like, here comes Basie's dad, and I see Basie in the doorway, and I'm like, thank God. He comes sprinting to me. He's like, oh my God, what happened? Are you okay? Like, he grabs me. I am laying on the ground. I can't move because my hips broke. It's excruciating. He picks me up from my back. Like, he's got his hands on my shoulder blades, and he grabs me and hugs me. And he was like, are you okay? And when he moved me, I could feel it, like, in my hip. Like, it was almost like I could feel the pain.
Oh, yeah.
And I told him, I was like, something's wrong. Like, I broke my hip. And so his dad's like, it's okay, honey. I know what to do. Like, I got you. So I don't know if he did CPR.
For a broken hip?
I don't know. But he starts doing his work. Anyway, I ended up being a manager for basketball again because I did it.
I'm just looking at how long this is. Okay, keep going.
So, since I've managed basketball my junior and senior year, in my dream I ended up back at a basketball game, and I was running around everywhere trying to figure out what I was supposed to be doing. Like, I didn't know if I had to get waters, if I had to get a towel, like, whatever. And his girlfriend shows up. Which, mind you, she went to...
Okay.
And she's a big-time athlete there. I played softball against her.
Oh my God. And
so, like, her and her friends show up, rightfully so. They're talking mad about me, and I'm like, ah. So, like, I yelled at them, and I'm like, if you will meet up with me at some point, I will tell you what happened. Because I'm like, I cannot let them go on thinking that I'm the one who did this, when it was really him. So,
your hip's broken and all you're worried about is a kiss.
Apparently.
Keep going, I'm sorry.
So, we ended up in the middle of Stephenville, I guess, and I was waiting for them to show up. I was sitting at a picnic table, and they all showed up, which was her and her friends. And while we're sitting on this picnic table, everything around us is moving. Like, we're riding through the city on this picnic table. And as I start to explain my side of the story, they all start to disappear. And I'm like, you're his girlfriend, right? And she was like, yeah. And it didn't look like her. Like, she was a different person, but I knew it was her.
Yeah.
So I was explaining to her, like, I'm not the one who initiated this. He came at me. He grabbed me. Like, you know, all this stuff. So they understood. Like, they got that it wasn't me. So I was at peace with that. So I end up back in my dorm with Basie. And we're both laying in bed. We're hanging out. And my room was like the room downstairs in KC. Like, the lighting. And I had the old dresser. I think I had my Barbie TV, but the dresser had a mirror on it, and so I start noticing that these teeth are hurting, like this side, and every time I bit down, they would move and grind against these, and so I'm like, what the hell is happening, like, with my teeth? So I'm like, hang on, I'm gonna get up, like, let me look. So I go and look in the mirror, and I noticed that my jaw had snapped.
Oh God, dude.
Like, here. And so every time I bit, this side would move up, and it would grind, and so I was ruining my teeth, and I was panicking to Mom, and I was like, I need to get into the dentist, like, I need to get this fixed, because every time I bit down, the more the tooth turned into powder.
Yeah.
And so I'm, like, trying to figure out, like, the mirror was falling off the wall, like, my life was going to hell, and, I can still feel it. Anyway.
That sounds awful.
Like, I'm glad I made peace with people because I hate being on bad terms with people. But, you know, that was probably the worst dream I've ever had.
That sounds pretty awful.
Yeah.
Alright. Well, if you've made it this far, thank you very much for listening. We're about to be cut off by a train, so we'll hopefully do this again in the future.
Well, that was for you, Pedro.
Alright. Thanks for watching.